The former intercontinental champion of the world. Nothing. What do you mean?
Welcome, everybody, to another segment of ARPchives Live. We are really excited to have Ann Hedonia today, and we will be speaking with her and seeing her very cool studio in just a few minutes. A couple of announcements to make. First of all, we will be going to EMIAP next week, live in person, which is very exciting, and we'll have do some recordings for some special archive lives to bring back from somewhere in Pennsylvania. We are very excited about our synthesizer ARPs for All project, and we will be also talking about that soon. I know I've been promising for a while, but it's true. It's going to happen. And very just happy about spring and happy to be bringing in new folk. I'm going to bring her in now. Can we see you? Yeah, we can see you. There you are. Let me get you in a little bit bigger. There she is. Hi. So welcome everyone. Ann Hedonia, as she says, is still in the beginnings of her music journey, on a rock flying through space, which I really love. As a child, she was encouraged to pursue various hobbies, just like we all were when we were kids, and she exhibited a talent at an early age for visual art, but she began to get interested in around fourth grade in taking piano lessons. And as you say, you weren't the best at practicing, but you learned and retained the basics of keyboard playing, which I relate to a lot. I was pretty much the same way. I didn't practice as much as I should, but I really loved
Yeah.
to do it. She continued on in high school, and I really would rather you tell the story, but I just wanted to give a little smattering of information about you first. One thing I do know is that you began working with hardware synths relatively recently, so I think it's a really interesting story. So let's take it from the piano side. Well,
Hi. Thank you for having me. Um, so I think that when I started wanting to play the piano, I remember vividly that I was like driving in the car with my mom when I was in fourth grade. I don't remember what we were doing, but all of a sudden this thought came to me that I should play the piano. And I asked, and I said, I want to play the piano. And there was really no pushback about it. It was just okay. So that was that. So I started to play the piano, and I remember my piano teacher's name was Mr. Merriman, and he was a sweet man who really like put up with me just kind of not being the best at practicing. And it took a while for me to embrace piano and like take it seriously. So I played from fourth grade until, let's see, probably around 10th grade, when I just felt like I was too busy to play anymore. But at the time, when I was done, kind of getting closer to the end, I started to pick out my own music that I wanted to play. And one of the hardest songs that I ended up choosing was Gershwin's American in Paris.
oh wow.
Uh, it was really hard. But we worked. I learned maybe the first few pages, and then that was like my last recital piece that I did. So I wanted to play Rhapsody in Blue, but the music store by my house didn't have that music, and I don't know. We didn't order it offline because I guess that wasn't really a thing that you did back then, 100 years ago. But yeah, so it was the only Gershwin piece they had, so I learned how to play that one. But I remember my favorite thing about that was in the beginning of the piece, you kind of set the tone that you're there's this American and they're on the streets and there's all these cars honking. So I thought that was like my first foray into a sound describing something. So yeah, I thought, looking back on it, I really regret not continuing to play. But I mean, who knows where I would have went with that.
It's never too late. I'm actually thinking of resurrecting my piano lessons because I am that rusty. I'm a one-hand wonder, which is not bad for synthesizers, but not great for other stuff. So you were originally playing, when you started going into the world of synthesizers, which I guess in the beginning you were doing virtual synthesizers. You were working with plugins and things like that.
Yeah, so, well, actually, I went to a music store and they had this used micro Korg that I played on. I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like, I didn't know how to use it, really. I knew that it made sounds, that's it. And we were there, my husband and I, for about 3 hours, and the people, I think they wanted us to leave. So
they weren't a good music store, that's what...
The guy got a phone call and he said, "Hey, somebody just called about this and they said they are on their way to buy it. So if you want it, you need to buy it now." And so I bought it.
And something similar like that happened with the 2600 later on.
Well, yes, but the man had the best intentions. When we got the 2600, it's the Korg reissue, and you know, everybody knows that those are really hard to get. We were really excited about getting it, but by the time we called about it, they said that their waiting list was already filled up, and pretty much every waiting list everywhere. But you know, put our names on the waiting list anyway, and we had not forgotten about it, but given up on it. And but we got a call in July saying like, "Hey, we have one, so if you want one, you need to come get it right now."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you did.
And we did. But we did have to we sold the Matriarch and the Pro 3 to get it, which we've since gotten back. Oh. But yeah, we had to part with them and then we got them back. So
that's an interesting kind of rearranging of family members that happen here. So you get one and then the other, but from what I understand, once you go modular, you have to kind of surrender to the fact that money's going away.
Oh yeah. It just continues.
It continues. I had a teacher once when I was starting to get into the world of photography who did this, he ripped up a dollar bill and said, "This is what your life is like if you going into photography." And it's about the same thing, I think, with modular synthesis, you know, plus real estate.
It's like,
You have to have real
yeah.
But you
also,
I'm sorry, I was going to say, you have a beautiful looking studio back there, so it looks like you got the right real estate.
Well, this is the basement to my house. But the people who built the house, they decided that they wanted to do this really nice kind of stone on one wall section of the basement, which looks really nice. They also put in a fireplace, but we can't use it because what they did was the vent for the furnace, which is gas, was connected to the vent for the fireplace. So the carbon monoxide would go in through the fireplace and come out into our house. And so the home inspector said, you might want to get that closed up. So yeah, so we did, and now this doesn't work. So I put the TV in here.
That's a
So
great
this is
place.
my
I love it.
video synth fireplace.
I love it. Terrific. So, and you tell us about Operation Bingo. You're involved in several projects. You have your solo work that you also have Operation Bingo, and you're also doing several collaborations. But Operation Bingo, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the first projects that you have been involved in with music.
So Operation Bingo it was really started by my husband. So him and his friends had this idea for a band for a really long time. It was kind of, they would joke about it, they would talk about it. And once we started to get a lot of the music equipment and started to figure out how to record things, and we were proficient with that, then they started to create their music. And so, my husband wrote the music for a lot of the songs and sung a lot of the songs. I wrote the music for some of the songs, the instrumentals that are on the album. I wrote the music for those. Friends helped write the lyrics. So that was definitely like a collaboration between people, which it stinks because it had to be finished while we were all in quarantine. So it was remote, even though everyone was so close by, we didn't want to get together. So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your influences. What I've heard and what we will hear, you're going to be doing a little tour for us. We also have a little mini concert we're going to share. But what I've heard is I would say is eclectic in the realm of rhythmic. There's a lot of bassy stuff that I notice. There's also a lot of stuff that sort of reminds me of stuff that I used to listen to in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. There's and even further back, I used to listen to Lydia Lunch and Sonic Youth and Skinny Puppy and things like that. And there's an essence there, I think, of some of the kind of dark experimental stuff that. So tell us what your influences are.
I definitely love Skinny Puppy. I like Nine Inch Nails, like everybody does.
Yeah.
To be honest, my inspirations are not, I don't think I can name people right off the bat. I forget people's names all the time. So I will leave here and I will remember everyone. But names that come to mind as inspirations right now, I definitely think New Order and the new wave kind of 80s electronic music. Definitely kind of try to make things sound a little jazzy sometimes, but definitely not a jazz musician in any way, shape, or form. I think that I don't really ever try to go down one path. And I think that a lot of my music sounds very different because a lot of times I'll be listening to a certain band or a certain time period or genre of music, and I will go down and I will work on the music, and I will, without trying, kind of come out with something just like that. So it's kind of like an osmosis process where I'm absorbing this and then it's coming out through me. And it's definitely an interesting kind of, I guess I could say, talent, because I feel like the stuff that comes out sounds really good. So yeah, those are my inspirations, like listen to music and then make music, kind of like go to the art museum and then
that's what we do.
Come home and make art that you're inspired by.
Exactly. So let's hear, in perusing, the web, one of the things I like to do when I have someone on, whether or not I know them from one realm, like I know you do a lot of video. As a matter of fact, one of your self-descriptions, Vidiot?
Well, yeah, because the LZX Vidiot is actually, the first video synth that I got from my husband for Christmas, and I guess I I guess that's a good way to describe it. That's just I don't know. I mean, I know a idiot's somebody that like watches TV a lot. I think that's like yeah. So they just thought it was funny. I think it's funny. I kind of like it making it sound like I watch TV because I guess that when I do this, I am kind of watching TV.
You are, but you're making your own images
Hmm.
from Soundwave. All right, so let's. I just wanted to, a little excerpt. I know you've been working on some projects with other people as well as your husband and your solo work. So you were telling me a little bit before. I'm sorry, I didn't write down the name of this artist. It's someone that I hadn't heard of until recently. So can you tell me a little bit, Chuck?
Yeah, I have a few different projects that I'm working on right now. But one of them is with Chaka Malik, and yeah. So he reached out to me. I put out a story in Instagram. I said, does anybody want to collaborate? And he was one of the people that reached out. And he was in a hardcore band called Burn, and then he was in a band with Chris Trainer, who is a member of Bush now, called Orange 9mm. So I think what's really cool about what we're doing together is you would expect him with the vocals to kind of be a little more aggressive, louder, more hardcore, but he's not. It's definitely like kind of like this sensual, almost R&B like vocals that he is creating and adding to these tracks. And the band's name is Sex Proxy, so it's Prox with a Z. So yeah, definitely like an interesting name, and an interesting duo.
Let's hear a little bit of that. Wow. How did you do that remotely? That's pretty cool.
I guess people are just maybe we're just used to it now, We've just he did so I started off the track. The bass that you hear is the ARP. I thought that was just a nice punchy bass. And then I sent that off to him. He added some parts to it, and then he added his vocals, which are just stellar and like haunting. It's not 100% done yet. There's a little bit that we want to add to it, but yeah, it's definitely an exciting project. And I have some other projects. So I have another project. My husband and I are doing one, Paul and Marie's Country Kitchen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that's gonna come out. That EP will come out in June, and it's been fun. It's like definitely the music of that is very different from Operation Bingo. It's definitely a little more synth wavy, but it's definitely the lyrics are very dark for some of the songs. So that's been a fun project. And then also another electronic project with someone that I talk to a lot on Instagram, Grant Bouvier, who is another video synth dude. And we're gonna we are like focusing on abandoned spaces, creating based off of that. So
Sounds very COVID apocalyptic safe.
yeah, 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 and that'll be another remote thing. So the only thing I can actually do with people is with my husband because we live together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I would wanted to have you kind of show us around your studio, but what do you think we should do first? I'd like to also have some people have everyone sink their teeth into a good chunk of music without me interrupting for a few moments. So let's do the concert first. Let's do that first. This is a good time, I think. So tell us a little bit about how you made the piece. It's in this room. You have your rack in front of you mostly. Tell us a little bit about how you put this together. Is the ARP a bass part in here, or is it? How,
The ARP is the base. I'm modulating it with a few different things from the Eurorack system, and then I'm also like manually modulating the filter in some parts just to add a little bit of movement in there. And yeah, so I do have the Eurorack systems. I have two cases, and I'm also using a few pedals. So I have the Zen delay and then the Chase Bliss reverb. And that is also, that's actually not the ARP. The ARP is not running through that. There's a few things that are running through that. And then there is the ARP is running through the Beatronics fuzz, but just one channel is running through that. So it's a split signal.
all right, let's take a listen. Wow. That was amazing. That was really amazing. I actually decided not to watch it until the live.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I definitely sort of been, been looking around your Instagram for a long time, but I wanted to save it so it was fresh for me as well. It was really wonderful, and I love the the build up and then the fade away. There's a lot of structure to it, despite the fact that it doesn't. It has a sense of spontaneity. And that's what I think really makes a beautiful piece. And I have to say, I love your outfit. I think the only other woman I've ever seen play in a dress is Delia Derbyshire. Did you see Sisters with Transistors?
oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah.
What did you
Yeah, I
think?
have I loved it. I thought it was so good. I think I'm just like so blown away by how innovative all of them are. Um, especially I just it's like so cool to see how the technology is especially like the tape machines where she took the splicing and the sampling. I forget the names. I can't ever remember names. But she wrote the Doctor Who theme song, and just the way that all of that having like five tape machines that you have to synchronize by hand. We have all of that just in like a little tiny portable thing now. And I just wish that she could just see that, and I feel like she would be so happy, like, oh, I can do all of this. It won't take me 40 days to write one song. um yeah, I thought that it was put together really well. I thought that it was just extremely informative and fun to watch.
I got a little weepy, I have to say, during some of it. It definitely I found it really moving. I wonder if anyone from the audience, hold on one second, I'm having a little glitch. I don't think it's, there we are. Okay, we're good. All right. Yeah, I wept a couple of times, I have to say, and it wasn't only for when I think, Eliana Adig said that when she saw the 2500, she fell in love. But with everybody, to be so innovative and so much themselves, th- and real brave, real courage, I found, You know, there's a lot of courage in doing what you, in believing in yourself enough to experiment like that. And
Hmm.
anyway, if other people here haven't seen it, please do. It is fabulous. They're extending the streaming. You can just Google here. I think. Thank you, Jeff.
It's
Jeff,
March, no, May 20th. God, we're
May
not in March.
20th. They're
Oh my God,
extending it.
yeah.
They're extending it till May. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, you know, in light of that, you know, I think of a lot of the people that I'm interviewing here is like the second wave of women with women electronic musicians. Not that I'm only interviewing women, but I'm especially moved by seeing, especially young women, because I think of you as, you know, you're a future generation than me, and to see you mixing the old and the new, I think is really what it's all about. These are instruments. They are they're as important then as they are today, and the ones today are doing things that those couldn't do, and bringing them together is really a cool thing.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I mean, I think just marrying new and old things and finding the instruments that you like to play and not sticking so much to something because you feel like you can only play analog instruments or you can only play digital instruments or keyboards or on the computer. And you know, I think just finding your sound, finding your true sound, and kind of evolving and continuing to evolve is what makes you a good artist. Like you never know everything. You're always learning something. So I feel like if you ever feel like you know everything, then that means you got to keep search something out, discover something new, buy something new, go somewhere new. So I definitely think that don't limit yourself to old or new or whatever.
Don't limit
Um,
yourself. Exactly.
exactly. Don't limit yourself. You know, I mean, the ARP sounds amazing. I don't think that there's anything out there that sounds like it. I don't think that there's anything that could replicate it. And it's different than anything else, which, you know, I feel like that's what a good instrument is. It's different from other things. You're not, it's not going to be, you know, redundant.
And that's why there's room for so many different brands and so many
Hmm.
different types. You know, I have this discussion a lot with, you know, people that are focused on brands, and everyone can have their favorite, but every instrument has its own pluses and minuses. And
Hmm.
you know, a musician, you know, like I was saying, you have a guitar, you can have a Gibson, you can have a Fender. Why do you have to only have one or only have the other? And the different technologies of Eurorack with, you know, analog modulars is, to me, is really interesting, just how all that works. I'm going to open it up in a moment for people to ask questions. There was a few questions that had come up, and I want to make sure that I don't ignore anybody. But would you now give us just a mini tour of your studio?
Yeah, so
Just to,
I'll show you guys my this is like just a part of my studio. My keyboards are in the other less aesthetic part of the studio. So for now, I mean, I have over here, I have the ARP, which is wonderful, obviously. So I actually did not bring the keyboard over because most of the time I MIDI sync that with the Eurorack. So what I have is I have two cases, so they're not filled up yet, sadly, but they will be soon. So I have get my camera around. That'd be smart. All right. So here I am. So I have the endorphin shuttle system, which I just got. So I'm learning how to use that. It sounds amazing. Um, I have this touch sequencer here, which is from endorphins as well, and it's actually as soon as I saw the demo for this and the fact that you could actually play it like a keyboard, that sold me on it immediately. I have a mixer. I have my drum machine set up And then I also have the Atlantis, which is, it's not really a clone, but it's similar to the SH-101. I forget what company makes that, but that's like a synth in itself. And my lone verbose module right there. And then over here I've got like filters, EQs, rings, which is a resonator that makes like a ton of sounds. That's like everybody in Modular's first module. It sounds just great. And then we have just a few other things. This is the Hermod, which is what I use to MIDI out signals to the ARP. And then we have the Morphogene, which is a tape machine in a module. So they've taken that kind of tape machine idea and turned it into a module. It sounds amazing. I love using that for samples. So you can see over there, I have a mess, and those are like the keyboards. I have the OB6 and the Prophet 10, the Matriarch, and then the keyboard, which has been separated from the ARP. So, and then these are the pedals I was telling you about. So this is the Chase Maris Bliss, which is based off of an old reverb from 1978. So that was like the first, again, forgetting the brand name of that. So that's definitely cool. And the little sliders, they move by themselves. You can make presets and they move. So that's really cool. And then this is the Erica Synths Zen delay. That's what I used on that track as well. So yeah, I mean, it's cool when you are doing modular stuff that it's almost like you have your whole studio. You have a whole studio in a little tiny place. So that's like, you know, if those were all synths and rack gear and stuff like that, it would take up a ton of space. But since it's not, it can sit on a little coffee table.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff. You're gonna have to buy a bigger house soon. I know how that works. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna open it up to questions. I do want to do a little plug. Hold on a second. I had my plug all lined up, and of course it is gone. Here we go. So I just want to remind everyone that this is brought to you by the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation and ARPchives. There's a link at the top of the Facebook for donations, and we are hoping for some generous donations. We're going to be starting our ARPs for All project soon, and that is going to be a project where we're amassing a collection of synthesizers for all of you to use, basically. So we're just kind of leaking out little bits until we finish the press release. All right, great. So I know there was a question about your pedals, which is, here we go. Thorsten Hines wants to know, what is your favorite pedal?
I think that my favorite pedal, I think it's this one. I mean, this reverb, I love. I used to put too much reverb on my tracks, so I would put like 8 different reverb. I mean, it's supposed to be like you're in one room, so don't use a bunch of reverbs. And then I have the Big Sky as well, which is a Strymon pedal, but I think this one's my favorite. This is like the nicest, cleanest, biggest reverb. I mean, if you turn up the mix all the way, your signal will never end, ever. It just goes on forever. Even if you unplug it, just forever. So I definitely think that one's my favorite. And I do like that the sliders move on their own. That is definitely a little magic right there.
So to explain how do they move on their own? You hit a preset and you just have to hit a button and the sliders move to the levels that you had it set when you created it?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So if you hit the preset, then they just move on their own. I can plug it in.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Demo.
Yeah, so this is super cool. so here we have these. Like I think this took them a really long time to put out because of that.
Ah, I see. Okay.
This is like so cool. And then you've got different options down here that it remembers. Because I guess there's some pedals that remember presets, but not a lot. I think this is a super, it's mesmerizing, right? Like, how does it do that?
I love it.
I hope it doesn't break either. I hope it doesn't ever stop working.
All right, so I'd like to take questions from the audience. Any questions about the the video? We were talking about that before. I have a question. Just so if the video machine.
Mhm.
Um, I know I'm really fascinated by these, and Steve McQuarrie, who's
Hi,
yeah,
I
he's
saw a
here.
comment. Hi.
This is a fascination as a visual artist, which is my first love. How does this work? Can you explain how your video works?
Um, to be honest, I really
Is it
it's
magic?
analog. So, I mean, they're analog circuits. I'm not 100% sure on the electrical engineer side of it, but it so some people use the old video mixers that TV stations would have used back in the day to switch between, you know, if you've ever seen a show like an older show, like they'll have a circle, and all of a sudden the person will appear. It'll be black, and then there's this circle. So that's kind of some of the things that this video synth stuff can do. You can run a DVD player through it or a VHS player through it, and you can alter the image. Some people do stuff called glitch art with this, so they'll do like glitch video synthesis
Mm-hmm.
with their video gear, which is really fun if you get into it. You can hook up video game systems, you can hook up computers, you can do just a ton of stuff with it. But I like to primarily use it with music, so you can actually sync the beat to it. You could send LFOs out to it. The LZX Eurorack um, video synth gear is, I like to use it because I can use it with my modular gear. So it makes it easier for me to interface things. I'm not really like a big fan of having to just like transfer a bunch of stuff or hook a bunch of wires up to something else. So I like that because I can utilize it with the Eurorack gear that I have. So if I am making a song, I can create something that's in sync with the song that changes colors or changes shapes depending on certain signals that I'm sending from, whatever has an out like that.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand.
I just sometimes, I just plug things into things. I know what's in, I know what's out. Um, it's an experimentation like process for me. I do like it because it is a little bit of magic, and you don't know what you're gonna get a lot of times.
What um what can we expect to see in the future? I know you have this project that's coming out,
Yes.
and how are we going to be able to see your other work? I know you have a band camp. Do you have a website?
No, I don't. I have my Bandcamp. I mean, I would consider my Instagram my website.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everything on there is pretty extensive what I have on there. So I don't have a website, but I do have a Bandcamp, and the Bandcamp is Paul and Marie's Country Kitchen. If you go to my Instagram, Marie Ann Hedonia, I have a link tree with all of my links on it. And that my Bandcamp is one of them, and my YouTube is one of them as well. And I do need to update that.
I shared your Bandcamp at the end of this video, and I will repost it onto YouTube. We have some more questions. Durham Roden wants to know: are there any vintage synths you would like to own or use?
Oh my God. It's uh, a lot of vintage synths. Yes. The Moog. I feel like the Moog System 55 would be an amazing synth to have. I mean, they've been making those. I guess they've remade those. But they're so huge. They're so expensive. I would love to have one of those. Um, so the System 55 for sure. Dream synth. Do you have the ARP 2500? I would love to like just touch that or like play it. Um, it's a gargantuan, just like monster of a synth. I'd love to see one in person. Um, owning it is just like a absolute fantasy. What else? Oh my god! So vintage synths. You know what? Totally weird. Like I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but there is a synth that was um, one of the women in Sisters with Transistors was, I think it was Daphne Orm. Am I saying her name right?
I think so. Yeah.
She had created this system where she had photo film. And then you remember the part where she was like drawing the waves on
Oh,
the
yeah.
film,
Mhm.
and she was like making sounds with that. I want that. I want that. I want that. That was amazing. I was like fascinated by that. You could just and you know you combine like the visual aspect into the sound, and it's just amazing that whatever she had set up. I would just like to watch a documentary about that and how she did that. That's what I want.
Eric, Edelin, I hope I'm saying these names right. How do you use the 2600 to modulate the video? How did you use the 2600?
Uh, so what you were watching earlier was I'm actually using the output of the filter. So what I had a sequence going through the Hermod that was modulating the LFO on the visual cortex, which is like the brain module for the video synth stuff that I have. Um, so basically, that's like the module that will hook up to the television, and you can feed things into that. So you can feed other video signals into that module. So I have the output of the filter going into VCO2, actually modulating the third oscillator. And so that's kind of changing the entire signal. And then I have the sine wave from the second oscillator going into the ring mod. And then the output of the ring mod is going into the doorway module, which is if you put a signal into that, it will split the signal into multiple other signals. So you get something like stripes or a repetition of shapes. So you can do a lot of different stuff with that. Patch it all up and see what happens.
Very cool. All right. So just going to put this link for a moment on Jeff Kellum about Daphne Orem's Oramics. So there is a website you can see more about this. I know you'd be
Oh,
interested.
thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to end on time tonight. I want to encourage everyone to go see. There's another wonderful stream right after this. Andre Chalmondanay's page and his YouTube channel. You can find the information on his Facebook page, and he's going to be interviewing Jack Hotop, wonderful, wonderful human and amazing player and person who's been working for Korg for many, many years. Please definitely go and support him as well. We're going to end, but we will be posting this up on YouTube. And what I've been trying to do lately is encourage people, if they weren't here in person or had other questions that they wanted to ask, definitely ask on the YouTube video, and I'll try to get a hold of you and then let you know and see if we can get some of these answered. But I think this was really lovely. The visuals I find really exciting, and the combination of Eurorack and ARP 2600 is a really, really great combination. I'm really excited and can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much. All right, everyone, stick around and then jump over to Andre's page. Please do not forget, if you can, to stop by the ARP Foundation website and our donate page. And we will be seeing you in a couple of weeks, actually, with Steve McQuarrie. And in between, I'm going to be going to MEAP and recording a live. It'll be the first in-person Archive Live ever. And that's going to be really exciting as well. So thank you everyone again, and take care.